What's going on, everyone? This Damian Lillard Portland Trailblazers saga is just getting wild, right? So GM Joe Cronin says that Blazers are open to the idea of keeping Damian Lillard and are being patient with his trade request. If it takes months, it takes months. I was also added by Mark Medina that if Portland trades Damian Lillard to another team instead of Miami, a person familiar with Lillard's thinking says he just wouldn't go. He just wouldn't report. Now, the Medina report, I think, is just it's silly. And every day it's like there's new reports, there's new information. Like, I always hate the whole person familiar with the thinking. Like, it's terrible reporting, in my opinion. I just think, like, okay, so I have familiar thinking of Damian Lillard's reported, and I think he should stay with Portland. Like, it's silly, right? But this drama that this is becoming is madness, right? I mean, Portland knew this was coming at some point. Damian Lillard knew this was coming at some point. I don't think that this was something that was unforeseen and came out of left field. Damian Lillard, he did his part, right, for being a loyal contributor to the Portland Trailblazers. But to be fair, both sides are to be held accountable, right? Portland, they failed to just put a real contending team around Damian Lillard. And I've seen people talk about, like, oh, well, Damian Lillard, he had a good teams. He's had good teams in the past. He just was never able to get it over the hump. But he never had a real contending team. Like, what roster did he ever have where it was like, man, that is one of the top 5 teams in the league? Like, I don't think there was ever, even when they made the Western Conference Finals, there was like a sequence of events that had to happen in order for him to do that. And even then, it just, like, nobody thought that they were going to win. His second best player his entire tenure was CJ McCollum, who is a worse version of Damian Lillard, right? It just, they overpaid continuously for just role guys. They had opportunities to make moves and do things, and they just never pulled the trigger. And then they tell Damian Lillard, hey, we're going to try to go get you a contender. We're going to go try to build something. And your big signings are to bring Nurkic back, and who is fine, don't get me wrong, but to bring him back and then go sign Jeremy Grant. And then this offseason, you overpay Jeremy Grant, thinking that that's what's going to be the piece to keep Damian Lillard. I mean, Portland just, they didn't do their part as an organization. Damian Lillard, though, had numerous opportunities to leave. And he didn't have to sign the new extension. He is being paid. And so now Portland has the power, right? Portland doesn't have to trade him. Portland could say, hey, like, you're going to stick around and we'll figure this out at some point. If it happens at the trade deadline, it happens at trade deadline, happens next season. The problem is that what trade is going to come up on the horizon that isn't here now? Like, even Kevin Durant, right? They still gave Kevin Durant away for the same type of package that they were offered in the offseason. Like, nothing changed, right? Like, and they tried to wait it out and see what happened, and it was time to go. And then the Kyrie thing became more of a disaster. Now, I don't think the Portland situation is going to go to that level, and I don't think Damian Lillard is going to sit out. He's too much of a competitive. He's too much of a player. Like, he's going to play, even if Portland decides to keep him. And look, it is Miami's job to figure it out, right? Like, they need X, Y, and Z. Okay, we need to figure out a way to go and acquire X, Y, and Z. And I'm not saying that he should just, like, trade him to Miami and that's it. Like, I just think that, one, it is in Portland's best interest to show face, right? Portland is not a free agent destination, right? And I've seen people say, like, what would be the difference now as opposed to, when you had Dame? Well, one, again, they continuously overpaid for role guys, so they were never able to really trade those role guys. And also, that basically made so that way they could never go and sign anybody. Like, how are you, if you're a free agent and you want to go play with Dame, how are you supposed to go play with Dame when CJ McCollum's getting a max? You're overpaying for Covington, you're overpaying for Nurkic, it just, how is that supposed to happen? And two, again, like, the idea is to grow a team to where a real player goes, man, I'm the missing piece, right? You trade Damian Lillard for whatever you trade him for. Even if you have to do the Miami deal and you get whatever you get, you can always, if you get Tyler Hero, there's other teams that would take Tyler Hero that would like Tyler Hero. or Simons or whatever, and you could just package that stuff and go get another piece, right? Like you could go and do some work and figure it out, or start the season with those guys, see which guy fits better, see which guy you like better next to Scoot and, Murray and Sharp and stuff like that, and then go from there. Trade Nurkic, basically unload everything, because if what's going to end up happening, and what's already starting to happen, is the trend of Portland is becoming the bad guy, right? Damian Lillard was the loyal guy that did everything, and you guys failed to deliver, and this is why players leave. This is why player mobility is good, all of that stuff, right? And I do agree with that to an extent. I've never had a problem with guys leaving. Like when LeBron left Cleveland, I was like, good. Cleveland was in the NBA Finals in his third year, and just got worse. Like, they never made the movement. Like, his second best player was Mo Williams. It's like, what? Like, this is where we're going. Anderson, Varejao, Gauskas, Mo Williams, Eric Snow, guys like, what? What are we doing here, right? And so, I've never had a problem with the player mobility. And yes, organizations don't have an obligation. And look, I understand it's a business, right? That's the big thing. It's a business. But also part of business is taking losses. Part of business is taking less for something in order to get more eventually. Because what ends up happening is if they do wrong by Damian Lillard and Damian Lillard feels spited, you don't think star players notice that? Like, I've talked about it with, like, the Lakers, for example, right? Diehard Laker fan. I love the Lakers. Kobe Bryant. I grew up. That was my childhood. That was my adulthood. I mean, I got the luxury of seeing Kobe Bryant, right? But at the end of his career, when the Lakers gave him a max contract, if we remove our bias, if I remove my love for Kobe and my love for the Lakers, giving him a max contract at the end of his career off of Achilles and all that stuff was a terrible decision. At the moment. In the long run, it paid off great. Because you know what that did? That showed, doesn't matter. If you're a Laker and you're here and you're a star and you help this organization win, we will take care of you. We will always take care of you if you take care of us. That's what the Lakers brand is. That's what the Lakers do. We are that organization. Yes, everyone told us paying Kobe Bryant and giving him all that money was terrible. Yes, we had a couple bad years. But you know what it did? It opened the door for LeBron James, because LeBron James had other options. He could have went anywhere. He could have went other places and probably won more championships by now. But you know what he did? He said, man, I'm at the end of my career. I want to get paid. I want opportunity. I want to go win. I can be part of the Lakers dynasty, all of those things. And he chose to go to the Lakers. They go trade for Anthony Davis, and all of a sudden the Lakers win an NBA championship. It's the perception to other stars. They're going to go to the places in which they feel they're going to be best taken care of, right? Like James Harden, for example. James Harden thought he was going back to Houston, and Houston said, nah, hard pass. Because James Harden thought, I can go to Houston, I get to do whatever I want, I get to go to gamble and go to strip clubs and all this stuff before every game and all this stuff. And Houston was like, yeah, we're not in that business no more. We want real guys. Like, so there is a fine line, right? But Portland has the potential to do things right this time. They do. Portland, go trade Damian Lillard. Get whatever assets and pieces you can get. I still think they should go to Miami just to show face, right? You show. Again, sometimes you have to take the L. But if it opens the door for potential in the future, then all of a sudden you're good. Make the corrections and learn from your mistakes of the past. Trade Damian Lillard. You have Scoot Henderson, you have Sharp, you have Murray, you have Simons, you have a bunch of really nice young pieces that you can grow and develop. If in 3 years you are a piece away from being a contender, you don't think a star is going to go, man, I really would like a championship, like add me to Portland, me, Scoot, Sharp, Murray, whomever else they have at that point, like, man, like I can win there. You don't think that a player is going to go and do that? Like, we've seen players go to organize smaller markets, things like that. We've seen people demand trades to smaller markets and things like that, right? Like, it could not happen, but if you put yourself in the position to where you are ready and you can go, all of a sudden those things become prevalent. All of a sudden those, like the Knicks, no one wanted to go to the Knicks every year. Like, None of that. And look, they didn't get a superstar, but Jalen Brunson said, I'll go there. And now the Knicks are a playoff team. They're looking good. They kind of feel like they're a piece or two away from being a legit contender. Portland could be the same thing. You build connect. You get somebody. Scoot Henderson becomes anything like he's projected to be. There's guys that are going to want to play with him. Like people were willing to go to Cleveland to go play with him, to go play with LeBron. Like those kind of things. Like it's just, you got to do right. Perception is everything. And from a business perspective, if a restaurant treats you right, what do? You continue to go back. You continue to tell your friends so that way your friends can go there, right? You do all those things. But if a restaurant treats you poorly, and especially after you've been loyal to them, how do you feel? All of a sudden, we're never coming back here. Oh, telling all your friends, yeah, that place, that's not the place you want to go. The reviews, word gets out, all that stuff. It can be detrimental, right? You do right by Portland because Dame, when Portland gets to the point where they're ready, now you have Dame in your corner that's like, no, dude, look, man, go to Portland. Look at how they treated me. They treated me great. Yeah, we weren't able to win. We weren't able to build a contender, but man, they got some nice people. Like, dude, they're a U away from winning a championship, right? Like, do that. Like, let's go. Right? Like, those are the things that can go a long way in the long run. I'm not saying trade him for a bag of chips, but it's not like you're not getting anything for him, right? Like, Damian Lillard is an aging, injury-prone, undersized point guard. He's great. Don't get me wrong. I love Damian Lillard, but let's not pretend like he's Kevin Durant. Like, let's not pretend like he's, what is he in the league right now? Top 30 player? 25 player? He's not a top 15. I don't even think he's a top 20. I mean, he's great. Don't get me wrong. He is a scoring machine, but he's a liability on the defensive end. He's undersized. He hasn't been able to stay uninjured the last few years. So, yes, some teams have overpaid for guys, like Rudy Gobert and stuff like that. But just because some organizations are foolish doesn't mean all organizations are. And it's not like teams are lining up at the door. Like, his market is small and slim regardless. Like, who's coming out of left field at the trade deadline that isn't willing to trade for him now? And some of those people might not even have some of those people. Like, who knows? Like, one in the hand is worth two in the bush, right? Like, go and get what you can now. And that way you also don't have this lingering over the course of the season. So that way your young players, Scoot Henderson can take the reins, can take that step. And your young guys can start being in the position. And your coach knows what, like, man, we might not even have Damian Lillard next week. Like all of those things are important for just the culture, the organization, right? We saw what happened in Brooklyn when the two players wanted out, right? Like, it didn't work. It was a mess, and ultimately they ended up having to trade everybody, right? We've seen this story. Why put your young guys that you're trying to build, like, show faith in your young. Scoot, this is your team now. We're trading Damian Lillard. We're going to move him over here. Like, how much more are you going to get than what Miami can offer? Boston isn't going to give you Jaylen Brown, unless OKC decides, hey, let's go trade for Dame, which I don't know why they would when they could just wait and see if, Joel Embiid or something like that becomes available, right? They have like 32 firsts, but like maybe Utah give you a better package, but like, what are they going to give you, right? Like, what package are you going to get that's that much better than what you can get from Miami? There's just not many teams out there that are willing to trade for him, for one, and two, have more than what Miami would be willing to give you. It's not like you're just going to get Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, and 2 firsts. No, you're going to get Jovic. You're going to get their new rookie, blanking on his name right now. You're going to get all the, basically you just go to them, you say, we want all of your young guys, all of them. Give us all of them. You're also going to take Nurkic so we can get off of his contract, or maybe Jeremy Grant, maybe you work it out once he can be traded, but you get off of Nurkic, right? Like, Miami's not going to say no to that. If they can get Damian Lillard, they'll take Nurkic, all that stuff. Give me Kyle Lowry. Give me Duncan Robinson. Give me Tyler Hero. Give me all of your young guys. Give me the 2 firsts. Take Nurkic. Take Damian Lillard. And that's a huge W. That is a huge W. Because now you cleared off of a long-term salary. You got a bunch of young players that can be tradable assets and all that stuff and can stick around. I think that that's the approach. I think that's the way they should go. Stop the hard ball. I get it. You're trying to show face, but they run the risk of already being a destination that people don't want to go to. And now you're going to add just more fuel to the fire and more reason why players aren't going to want to go there, when you could do right by Damian Lillard, get a nice package in return, unload some long-term salary, trust your new young guys, and start moving in a positive direction to where now you can put yourself in a position to go, hey, come to us. Look at how we treated Damian Lillard. You know, we have a roster, we have a team, we have an organization that has better structure, that is trying to contend, that's trying to win a championship. You know, we're you away from winning. You know, let's say in 3 years, we'll just use them as an example. Let's say 3 years, you know, Joel Embiid does become available, right? It's like, hey, come to Portland. You're the missing piece. You, Sharp, Murray, Scoot, whoever else, you know, like whoever you got on that. If you still got Jeremy Grant at that point, Jeremy Grant, man, like Scoot's evolved into, you know, top 25 guy or whatever. You know, Sharp is legit. He's, you know, legit shooting guard. You got Murray, who, if he can replicate what he did in the King, like in 3 years, you might be one of the better teams already in the Western Conference, or at least a playoff team, and just be a star away from being a contender. And that star might say, man, like, yeah, I can go to Portland, get paid, win a chip. I just think that that's the better approach. But that's my opinion, and as always, I pass the question on you. Let me know yours down in the comments below. Agree with me, disagree with me, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are. I'd love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments.